Hey everyone! Whether you're a parent trying to help out or a year 5 or 6 student gearing up to totally crush the exam, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into how to master the personal narrative for the NSW Selective High School writing test. Let's break down exactly what it takes to write a genuine, standout response when you're under that exam pressure. So how do you actually ace the selective writing test? Well, first things first, let's just bust the biggest myth out there right now. You know the idea that you can just memorize a perfectly written story at home and force it to fit the topic? Yeah, no, that is a massive trap. Markers can spot a recycled story from a mile away. The real secret here isn't memorization at all. It's flexibility. I really want you to lock this golden rule into your brain. Prompt first, format second. Seriously, on exam day, you absolutely have to answer the exact topic, purpose, and audience given to you in the instructions. Even if you write the most beautiful story in the world, if it ignores the prompt, your mark is going to suffer. Answer the instructions first, and then bring in the creativity. Okay, so what exactly is a personal narrative? Well, simply put, it's a meaningful experience told from your own personal perspective. It's almost always written in the first person, so you're using words like I, me, or we. And listen, it's not just a dry timeline of events. It's this awesome blend of storytelling mixed with your own inner thoughts. The whole key here is making it believable, so the marker feels like they're right there in the moment with you. Now, you might be wondering how this actually differs from an ordinary creative story. Look, we all love a good sci-fi epic with, alien invasions and massive space explosions. But a personal narrative shifts completely away from those huge external plot lines. It centers entirely on your inner thoughts, your emotions, and a totally believable personal voice. The magic here happens inside your mind, not out in some galaxy far, far away. But at the same time, this is not an autobiographical recount either. A recount is kind of like a boring chronological diary entry. I woke up, brushed my teeth, ate some toast, drove to the beach. That gets super boring really quickly. A personal narrative does the exact opposite. Instead of listing every single thing you did over a whole week, it zooms way in on one specific, highly meaningful moment. Okay, let's really dive into this core idea. One experience, one important moment, one meaningful change. I cannot stress this enough. You do not need a huge, life-threatening adventure to write an outstanding piece. You literally don't need to fight a dragon. A great narrative can just be about, say, volunteering to read aloud in class when you're terrified, or maybe making a mistake and apologizing for it. It's all about what changes inside you. So how do we structure this? Here's a super reliable 6-part framework you can lean on when that timer starts. First up, the opening. Start close to the action. Second, context. Give just enough background so we know what's going on. Third is the challenge. This is where you build up the tension. Fourth is the turning point. That big moment where a decision or mistake actually happens. Fifth, the outcome. And finally, number 6, reflection, showing the marker exactly why this experience mattered. All right, so you've got your structure down, but how do you pace your story? When you only have 30 minutes, how on earth do you control the speed so you don't run out of time and end up rushing the absolute best parts? Well, the secret here is something I like to call the camera lens technique. It works like this. First, you zoom out to speed through the boring setup. If something took 3 weeks, just summarize it in one sentence. Done. Then you zoom in for that crucial turning point. A few seconds of real time might actually take you several sentences to describe, using really rich sensory details. You have to slow down for the important moments. And this brilliantly illustrates something we hear all the time. Show, don't tell. A really weak way to convey emotion is just stating it directly, like, I was nervous. Meh, it's just not memorable. Now listen to this strong example. My fingers tightened around the folded speech until the paper softened at the edges. Wow, right? That physical reaction tells us everything we need to know. It's vivid, it's specific, and that is exactly what earns top marks. Now, you absolutely need to be aware of these common traps. First, avoid too much setup. Please don't spend half your exam time just getting to the main event. Next, avoid scripting out too much dialogue. You also want to steer clear of forced, robotic dictionary words. Keep an eye out for accidental tense switching. That happens a lot. And honestly, the worst trap? Fake morals. Do not end your story with a generic motivational poster quote like, I learned to believe in myself. Just be genuine. Okay, so you're sitting there with exactly 30 minutes on the clock. How do you slice up your time without totally panicking? Here's the game plan. Spend your first 4 minutes planning out a few bullet points. Then spend 23 minutes drafting at a steady typing pace. But crucially, and I mean absolutely crucially, leave the last 3 minutes to edit. Check your tense, fix your spelling, and double-check that you actually answered the prompt. Listen, if you remember nothing else from this explainer today, I want you to remember this ultimate formula. A personal narrative equals an experience plus a challenge plus an important moment plus a change. That's it. Hit those 4 marks and you are literally guaranteed to deliver a complete, highly meaningful piece that the markers are just gonna love. Because at the end of the day, writing a great personal narrative is a skill, and it's built entirely on practice. You've got the tools, you know the structure, and you know exactly what traps to avoid. So what's next? Set a 30-minute timer and just give it a go. You can practice this and a bunch of other NSW selective writing formats over at pathtoselective.com. So, what meaningful moment are you going to write about next? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy writing.